I had rehearsed my smile all morning, telling myself, stay calm, be polite, show respect. I believed love could make people fair. I believed effort mattered more than money. I believed that if they saw my honesty, they would accept me. She squeezed my hand outside the gate and whispered, just be yourself. I am, I said, trying to sound confident. Her house looked more like a palace. When the door opened, her father didn't greet me. He scanned me. So this is him? He asked. Yes, Papa, she replied softly. He looked at my shoes. What do you do for a living? I work multiple jobs, I said. I'm saving to build something of my own. He laughed once. Multiple small jobs are still small. Her mother leaned back. Where is your family from? A modest town, I answered. Of course, she said. And your education? I couldn't finish college, I said. I had responsibilities. Her brother smirked. So no degree, no business, no assets. I have ambition, I said. Ambition doesn't pay bills, he replied. I felt my chest tighten. I looked at her. She avoided my eyes. Her father folded his arms. Tell me honestly, how will you provide for my daughter? I will work harder than anyone, I said. I will grow. He shook his head. Hope is not a plan. Her mother added, love fades when money runs out. I swallowed. I love her. I respect her. Her brother laughed louder. Love won't buy her the life she's used to. I forced myself to breathe. I never asked for your money. Her father stood. But you are asking for our daughter. Yes, I said. With respect. He stepped closer. Respect is earned. I'm earning it, I replied. He looked at her. Is this the man you want? She hesitated. I care about him. Her silence cut deeper than their words. Her mother said, caring is not enough. Her brother added, he's a phase. You'll grow out of it. I felt small, angry, exposed. I said quietly, I didn't come here to be judged. Her father replied, then you came to the wrong house. I nodded slowly. I understand. She finally spoke. Please don't go like this. I looked at her. Like what? Like it's over, she said. I wanted her to fight. She didn't. I turned to her family. Thank you for your honesty. Her brother chuckled. Good luck surviving. I stood there longer than I should have. My phone buzzed, but I ignored it. I kept hearing her father's voice in my head, cold and sharp. Inside the house, I heard her mother say, he won't last. Her brother replied, men like that never do. I wanted to go back in. I wanted to shout, I am more than my wallet. I didn't. I whispered to myself, remember this. A guard near the gate looked at me with pity. Sir, are you leaving? Yes, I said. I was never really invited. He nodded, embarrassed for me. As I walked down the long driveway, I felt anger rise. Not loud anger. Heavy anger. I won't forget this, I said quietly. My phone rang again. It was her. Please come back, she said. Why? I asked. Because this didn't have to end like this. It already did, I replied. She cried softly. They don't understand you. You didn't help them understand, I said. I was scared, she admitted. So was I said. I still stood there. She was silent. I can't fight your family alone, I continued. I know, she whispered. I need someone who stands with me, I said. I love you, she said. I love you too, I replied. But love shouldn't feel this small. She didn't answer. I ended the call. I reached the street and sat on the curb. Cars passed like nothing had happened. I felt invisible. I thought about every extra shift I worked, every dream I shared with her, every promise I made to myself. I will never let this happen again, I said out loud. That promise felt different. It felt real. I stood up, wiped my face, and walked away from the mansion without looking back again. I didn't know how. I didn't know when. But I knew one thing clearly. This humiliation was not my ending. It was my beginning. As I walked, I felt something shift inside me. Shame turned into resolve. Fear turned into fire. I told myself, one day, they will hear my name differently. I didn't know the cost yet. I didn't know the road. But I knew I would pay it. Because being poor hurt. Being powerless hurt more. I chose pain with purpose. That decision followed me into the night, into silence, into a future I could not see, but would one day control with determination burning in my chest like a promise kept. I met her the next evening at a quiet cafe. She looked tired. I felt hollow. "You didn't answer my messages," she said. "I needed to hear your voice in person," I replied. She wrapped her hands around her cup. "I knew this would hurt. Why didn't you defend me?" I asked. She looked down. "I was scared." "Scared of what?" I asked. "Losing comfort. Losing everything," she whispered. I laughed softly. "You already lost something." She frowned. "What do you mean?" "Me," I said. She reached for my hand. "I love you." "Love doesn't hide," I replied. She pulled back. "You don't understand my family." I stood in front of them, I said. I understood perfectly. "They control my life," she said. "Then why did you invite me into it?" I asked. She didn't answer. I leaned forward. "Say it. Choose." Her eyes filled with tears. "They gave me an ultimatum." I nodded. "Me or them?" She whispered, "Yes." "And?" I asked. She stayed silent. That silence felt heavier than their insults. "I would have fought for you," I said. "I know," she replied. "Why wasn't I worth fighting for?" I asked. "You are," she said quickly. "Just not like this." "Like what?" I asked. "Like losing everything," she said. I sat back. "Then you never loved me the way I loved you." "That's not fair," she cried. "It's honest," I said. She wiped her face. "I thought love meant patience." "Love also means courage," I said. She shook her head. "I can't abandon my family." "I never asked you to abandon them," I said. "I asked you to stand beside me." She whispered, "I'm sorry." I stared at her. Sorry doesn't change choices. She reached out again. "We can wait." "For what?" I asked. "For them to approve my existence." She broke down. "Please don't do this." "I didn't," I said. "You did." The waiter passed, pretending not to hear. "I feel like I'm suffocating," she said. "So did I replied. "Standing alone in that house." She looked at me with regret. "I never meant to hurt you." "Intent doesn't erase damage," I said. She whispered, "Can you forgive me?" I thought for a moment. "One day. Not today." She stood up slowly. "Is this goodbye?" I stood too. "Yes." She cried quietly. "I wish things were different." "So do I said. We walked out separately. That night, I sat alone in my room. The walls felt closer than usual. I said to myself, was I never enough? I remembered my father coming home tired, hands cracked, still smiling. He once told me, "A man without respect is already poor." I whispered, "I understand now." I thought about every time I stayed silent to keep peace. Every time I lowered myself. "I won't do that again," I said. My phone buzzed. Her name lit the screen. I didn't answer. I stood by the window and said, "I choose myself." The pain didn't disappear. It settled, hardened. I felt something new grow inside me. Not anger. Resolve. I promised myself, I will never beg for respect again. That promise felt like armor. I lay down, staring at the ceiling. My heart hurt, but my mind was clear. Love didn't fail me. Fear did. And I refused to live afraid anymore. I closed my eyes knowing this loss would shape me. I didn't know how yet. I only knew I would never allow anyone to decide my worth again. The boy who accepted silence died that night. The man who demanded respect was born quietly, painfully, alone. I left the city before sunrise with a small bag and almost no money. I told myself, keep moving. The bus driver asked, ticket. I handed him my last cash. He looked at it, then at me. That's all. I nodded. He waved me in without another word. At the first interview, the manager said, experience. I answered, I learn fast. He replied, we need fast results. At the second place, the woman said, we'll call you. She never did. By evening, hunger spoke louder than pride. At a cheap room, the owner asked, how long? I said, one night. He replied, pay first. I did. The bed creaked. I stared at the ceiling and whispered, this is temporary. The next morning, I walked for hours. My phone buzzed with rejection emails. I laughed once. At least they answered. I bought bread and water. I ate slowly, respecting each bite. So this is survival, I said. Near a crossing, an older man stumbled as a scooter splashed water at him. I grabbed his arm. Careful, I said. He steadied himself. Thank you, he replied. His voice was calm. We sat on a bench. He asked, where are you headed? I said, anywhere that gives me a chance. He smiled. Honest answer. He introduced himself. Adeyemi. I told him my name. He asked, you look tired. I said, I am. He nodded. Why? I said, I walked away from a life that wouldn't stand with me. He listened. He didn't interrupt. I added, I'm not asking for help. He said, good. I asked, why? He replied, because beggars lie. Builders tell the truth. I felt seen. He asked, what can you do? I said, work, learn, endure. He smiled again. Endure is rare. He pointed to my shoes. How long have you been walking? I said, long enough to know I won't stop. He checked his watch. Come, he said. Tea. I agreed. Over tea, he said, I do business in Africa. I listened. He said, it is not kind to the weak. I replied, I'm not weak. He raised an eyebrow. Prove it. I told him the truth. I have nothing. He said, good. Nothing teaches faster. He warned me. It will break you before it builds you. I answered, I'm already broken. He laughed softly. Then you're early. He slid a card across the table. Think. I didn't. I accept, I said. He paused. No questions. I said, only one. When? He smiled. Tonight. At the airport, the clerk asked, destination? I said, Africa. She typed and said, seat assigned. She looked up. First time. I said, yes. She replied, good luck. I said, I'll make my own. I called no one. I owed explanations to nobody. At security, a guard said, laptop. I said, no. He waved me through. I sat at the gate, watching planes breathe. Mr. Adeyemi said, last chance to walk away. I shook my head. I'm done walking away. He nodded. Then listen more than you speak. I replied, I will. Boarding began. My hands shook. Not from fear. From change. I thought of the city behind me and said, goodbye. I thought of the man I was and said, rest. As the plane lifted, I whispered, I don't know if I'll survive. Then I added, but I won't return the same. The engines roared. My past went quiet. My future, loud and waiting. Africa hit me without apology. On my first day, Mr. Adeyemi said, you start before sunrise. I asked, when do we rest? He replied, when results speak. I nodded and followed him into noise, dust, and heat. A manager looked at me and said, you're late. I checked the time. I wasn't. I said nothing. At the sight, a partner laughed. This one won't last. I heard it. I kept working. Hours blurred. My hands burned. My head pounded. At night, I said, I can't keep this pace. Mr. Adeyemi replied, then slow men will pass you. I stayed quiet. A week later, he said, you lost money today. I asked, how? He answered, because you trusted smiles. I clenched my jaw. They promised, I said. He replied, promises are cheap. I wanted to argue. I didn't. Another deal failed. I said, I think they lied. He asked, what did you check? I said, their word. He shook his head. Check numbers, not mouths. I felt stupid. He let me feel it. One night I said, I'm done. He poured tea and asked, why? I said, I work, I lose, I look foolish. He replied, good. Pride is leaving. I stared at him. You enjoy this? He said, I enjoy truth. The next morning, a partner missed a payment. I confronted him. Where's the money? He smiled. Soon. I said, now. He laughed. Relax. I walked away and told Mr. Adeyemi. He asked, what will you do? I said, cut him. He nodded. Do it. My voice shook. Today. He said, yesterday. I ended the partnership. People whispered. He's harsh. I didn't care. The next deal broke even. Mr. Adeyemi said, progress. I smiled once. He said, don't. I stopped. Weeks passed. I woke before alarms. I asked questions. I listened more. A supplier said, you're different. I asked, how? He replied, you don't beg. I answered, I calculate. I lost again. I said, I misread demand. Mr. Adeyemi replied, say it louder. I did. He said, good. Now fix it. I worked through the night. At dawn, he asked, plan. I said, reduce waste, renegotiate transport. He nodded. Execute. A rival tried to corner me. He said, you're new. I replied, I'm prepared. He laughed. I showed him numbers. He stopped laughing. He said, deal. I said, terms changed. He paused. You learned fast. I answered, pain teaches. Another partner betrayed me. I felt anger rise. I breathed and said, terminate. Mr. Adeyemi watched. Later he said, you didn't shout. I said, noise costs focus. He smiled. Money started to stay. Not much. Enough. A manager said, people respect you. I asked, why? He replied, you finish. I thought of my past and said, results speak. One evening, Mr. Adeyemi said, you think differently now. I asked, how? He replied, you plan months, not meals. I felt that land. He added, you stopped reacting. I said, emotions are expensive. He said, exactly. I stood on a balcony and called myself out. You are not poor, I said. You were untrained. The city hummed. I felt calm. Mr. Adeyemi joined me. Ambition? He asked. I answered, controlled. He nodded. Good. The next deal closed. Clean. Profitable. I didn't celebrate. I documented. Mr. Adeyemi said, you're ready for more. I asked, what's the cost? He replied, pressure. I said, add it. Africa didn't ask who I was. It asked what I delivered. I finally answered correctly. Years passed quietly. Power arrived loudly. One morning, my assistant said, your portfolio crossed another line. I asked, which one? He replied, the line where people stop arguing. I nodded. Meetings became short. Decisions became final. I didn't raise my voice anymore. I didn't need to. At a board meeting, a director said, we should wait. I replied, we waited last year. He swallowed. Approved, he said. I watched faces change when numbers spoke. Respect followed results. Fear followed silence. Later, Mr. Adeyemi said, "You remember hunger?" I answered, "I remember discipline." He smiled. "Good." He handed me a file. "New acquisition." I flipped pages and froze. I said, "This name?" He replied, "Familiar." "Yes," I said. "Very." The company buying the assets was mine. The company losing everything belonged to her family. I felt nothing. No anger. No joy. Just clarity. My assistant asked, "Proceed." "Yes," I said. "Full takeover?" "Yes," I repeated. A manager whispered, "They're desperate." I replied, "Desperation makes people honest." I didn't reveal myself. I didn't need applause. I wanted truth. In a call, her father said, "We need time." I listened silently. He added, "Please understand." I still said nothing. He cleared his throat. "Who am I speaking to?" I answered, "A decision maker." He tried again. "We built this company." I replied calmly, "You failed to protect it." After the call, my assistant asked, "Do you want to meet them?" I said, "Not yet." He asked, "Why?" I replied, "Power speaks best when it waits." At dinner, a partner joked, "You're ruthless." I answered, "I'm precise." He laughed, uneasy. That night, I stood by the window and said to myself, "You wanted respect." I paused. "You earned leverage." The city lights didn't impress me anymore. Control did. A week later, another call came. Her father's voice shook. "We're willing to negotiate." I said, "So am I." He asked, "Terms?" I replied, "Transparency." Silence followed. Then he said, "We made mistakes." I answered, "Yes." He continued, "We trusted the wrong people." I said, "You ignored the right ones." My assistant raised an eyebrow. "You're cold." I replied, "I'm fair." I remembered the night they laughed. I remembered my empty hands. I didn't feel revenge. I felt balance. Mr. Adeyemi called me later. "You ready?" "For what?" I asked. "To close the circle," he said. "Soon," I replied. In another meeting, a banker said, "They're asking for mercy." I asked, "Did they ask for mercy before?" He shook his head. "Then proceed." I signed papers without shaking. My name looked different now. Heavy. Final. A junior analyst said, "You don't celebrate wins." I said, "Wins are temporary." He asked, "What lasts?" I answered, "Position." News spread quietly. Her family's empire was shrinking. Mine was expanding. I didn't push. I waited. One evening, my phone buzzed with an unknown number. I didn't answer. I already knew who it was. I told myself, silence is my reply. And for the first time, silence felt powerful. I wasn't the man who begged to be heard anymore. I was the man people waited on. And as the balance shifted, I stayed calm, knowing the past was finally catching up, step by step, deal by deal, without me lifting a single emotional finger. I walked into the conference room without hurry. My assistant asked, "Ready?" I replied, "I've been ready for years." The doors closed softly behind me. At the long table, they sat waiting. Her father looked up and frowned. "Who are you?" he asked. I took a seat and said, "The one deciding your future." He adjusted his glasses. "We were told the chairman would attend." I answered, "He is attending." Confusion moved across his face. Her mother leaned forward. "This is a serious matter," she said. "Please don't waste our time." I met her eyes. "Time is the only thing you wasted." Her brother scoffed. "Do you know who we are?" I replied, "I know who you were." He opened his mouth, then stopped. Her father said sharply, "Enough games. State your terms." I slid a folder across the table. "These are the facts." He flipped pages quickly. His hands slowed. His face drained. He looked up again. "This can't be right." I said, "It is." He stared harder. "Your name." I gave it to him. Silence fell. Heavy. Familiar. Her mother whispered, "No." Her brother stared at the table. She looked at me then, truly looked, and her breath caught. "It's you," she said. I nodded once. "It's me." Her father stood abruptly. "This is impossible." I replied, "You said hope is not a plan." He froze. Her mother tried to smile. "We didn't mean—" I raised my hand gently. "Please. Don't." She stopped. Her brother finally spoke. "You came for revenge." I answered, "I came for closure." He had nothing to say. Her father sat slowly. "We treated you unfairly." I replied, "You treated me honestly." He frowned. "What does that mean?" I said, "You showed me how you value people." Her mother said, "We were protecting our daughter." I looked at her. "You were protecting comfort." She looked away. She finally spoke. "I'm sorry." I listened. I nodded. "I know." She added, "I wish I had been braver." I replied, "I became brave enough for both of us." Her father cleared his throat. "We need help." I asked, "From whom?" He answered quietly, "From you." I felt nothing move inside me. He continued, "We can negotiate." I asked, "What are you offering?" He hesitated. "Anything." I replied, "You already gave me everything you had." Her mother's voice trembled. "Please." I said, "I won't insult you." She looked confused. I continued, "I won't raise my voice. I won't laugh." Her brother swallowed hard. Her father asked, "Then why are you here?" I answered, "To tell you who I was." I leaned forward. "I was the man you measured by his wallet." I paused. "Now measure yourselves." Her father whispered, "We made a mistake." I said, "Mistakes can be fixed." He looked hopeful. I added, "Choices cannot." She stood halfway. "Is there nothing I can say?" I looked at her kindly. "Say it to yourself." She sat down, shaking. Her brother muttered, "So this is it." I nodded. "This is it." Her father's voice broke. "You're going to destroy us." I replied calmly, "No." He looked confused again. I said, "You did that." He closed his eyes. I stood up. "I won't save your company." Her mother gasped. I continued, "I won't ruin you either." Her father looked up. "What does that mean?" I answered, "Karma doesn't need help." She whispered, "Do you hate us?" I thought for a moment. "No," I said. "I outgrew you." I walked toward the door. Her father said, "Wait." I stopped but didn't turn. "I hope you understand," he said. I replied, "I understand perfectly." I opened the door. "You taught me something valuable." He asked, "What?" I said, "Power is quiet." Then I left. Outside, my assistant asked, "How do you feel?" I answered, "Free." He nodded. As the elevator descended, I spoke to myself. "You didn't shout." I smiled. "You didn't need to." The doors opened. I stepped forward knowing the chapter was closed, the balance restored, and the silence behind me louder than any revenge could ever be. I met her one last time at a quiet place she chose. She looked nervous. I felt calm. "Thank you for coming," she said. "I didn't come for closure," I replied. "I came for truth." She nodded slowly. "I owe you an apology." "I know," I said. She swallowed. "I was weak." "I know," I repeated. She looked surprised. "You're not angry." "I was," I said. "A long time ago." She asked, "Do you hate me?" "No," I answered. "I forgave you." Her eyes filled. "Does that mean—" "It means I'm free," I said. She leaned forward. "I think about you all the time." "I stopped thinking about you," I replied. That hurt her. I saw it. I didn't enjoy it. "I wish I had chosen differently," she said. "I wish you had chosen yourself," I answered. She whispered, "I didn't know how." "I learned," I said. She asked quietly, "Was it revenge?" "No," I replied. It was survival. She looked down. I see you now. I always wanted to be seen, I said. Just not like this. She said, I'm proud of you. Be proud of yourself, I replied. That's where it matters. Silence sat between us. It felt peaceful. She finally said, Is there any chance? I shook my head. I won't go back. Because of them? She asked. Because of me, I said. She nodded, accepting it at last. I forgive you, I said. Not to erase the past. To release it. She cried softly. I'm sorry. I believe you, I replied. We stood up. She hesitated. Take care. I always do, I said. I walked away alone. I liked that. Later, I stood on my balcony as the city breathed below. I spoke to myself. You lost love. I paused. You gained yourself. I remembered the boy who stayed quiet. The man who begged silently. I said, You're safe now. My phone buzzed. I ignored it. Silence felt earned. I said out loud, I didn't win. I smiled. I moved on. I didn't become rich to prove them wrong. I became strong so no one could decide my value again. I looked at my hands. Steady. Capable. I thought of every closed door. Every laugh. Every night I doubted myself. I said, Thank you. Not to them. To the struggle. Power wasn't money. It was choice. Peace wasn't silence. It was acceptance. I turned off the lights and stood there, alone but full. No applause. No revenge speech. Just me. Free.